Thank you for watching, and welcome back to another brand new episode of The Completionist. It is no secret that I love 3D platformers. Hell, I would say that the platformer genre in general, whether it be 2D or 3D, are my favorite in the entire genres that exist in gaming space. Some of my absolute favorites have to be Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and Donkey Kong 64, the trifecta of N64 3D platforming from the now-owned Microsoft company Rare. So when I saw that the crew behind those games were coming back together to kickstart a brand new adventure that literally embodies everything I love about Banjo-Kazooie, I gladly backed that game. And as of a few days ago, the game has come out and the reviews have been all over the place. I myself got a review copy weeks before everyone else has, and while I don't want to give it away, and the entire point of this video that is, I have to say this. Yooka Laylee has made me smile from ear to ear. Let's begin.
Yes!
We all know the unfortunate fate of Rare and Microsoft. Microsoft purchased Rare back in September of 2002, and at first, while it seemed like a pretty good match, the games Rare started producing weren't exactly what people wanted. At the time, the vibe I got was that people were hankering for Banjo 3E or Conker's Bad Fur Day 2. Unfortunately, we got neither. And while we've seen different reiterations of both of those franchises in more recent years, the legacy of Rare has finally been preserved with that of Rare Replay. Now, what I'm about to say is half the gaming industry and half my opinion peppered in with that. What I mean by that is, unless your name is Nintendo and Mario, platformers, let alone 3D platformers, have kind of come and gone. The gaming industry as a whole has moved away from 3D platformers altogether, and honestly, it bums me out quite a bit. We've been lucky to see the resurgence of the platforming genre with games like Super Meat Boy, Braid, Shovel Knight, and Owl Boy, and A Hat in Time is waiting in the wings. But my point is, no one takes risks on 3D platformers in a day and age where multiplayer MOBA team-dependent games are all the big thing. With the success of Kickstarter games like Shovel Knight, Undertale, and so much more, out of the blue, we were blessed with a new company called Playtonic Games. And these guys were the original teams behind Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong 64, and so many more games. And their game, Yooka Laylee. The pitch? Hey! Do you love Banjo-Kazooie and those 3D platformers we made? We loved making them. We're getting the band back together to make another one. Raising roughly $2.5 million in American dollars, Playtonic's Yooka Laylee looked like it was well on its way to not only being one of the best Kickstarter games, but it might actually be a Kickstarter that fulfills its rewards, communicates everything to its backers, and works very hard to ensure that people get their product on time. Unfortunately, like all snags with Kickstarter, Playtonic did push the game back from their original date, and they did have to cancel the Wii U version of the game due to developmental costs changing to that of the Nintendo Switch. Now, in the time that this game has been worked on, I have gotten the absolute pleasure of becoming friends with not only one of my favorite video game composers of all time, but a person whom I admire very deeply, and that is none other than Grant Kirkhope. He's seriously one of the coolest guys I've ever met, and I'll continue to support him in anything he does. He truly is a wonderful person, and along with other Rare alumni, he composed the music for Yooka Laylee. So with that said, I've been following Yooka Laylee's development cycle with a magnifying glass. It's a game I've been waiting for a very long time, and I am so glad that it's finally here. As far as completionists go, you gotta know that these games were made for us. I'm going to guess that this game will be about one playthrough tops, with tons of collectibles in various shapes and sizes, moves to learn, secrets to unlock, bosses to fight, and awfully wonderful voices that make no coherent actual words with great puns all over the place. Enough of the chit-chat, Gerard, you're all thinking. Play the game already. Talk about it, everyone's saying to themselves. Now, I want to be clear. The Completionist will never be a show in which a game developer can pay to have their work featured here. I do paid promotions all the time here on the channel, but it'll never be in the form of a review or the Completionist show. It'll maybe in that of a gameplay video to tutorial or behind the scene featurettes, but as far as my view as a gamer goes, I cannot be bought. And in this case, I supported the game. Don't believe me? Check it out. I'm in the credits. Point is, no one has paid me for any of my opinions in the video you're about to see right now. Except for maybe that of my Patreon people who have been supporting That One Video Gamer as a whole for many years. But without further ado, let's talk about the legend that is Yooka Laylee. Okay, I've rewritten this script almost 8 times now in its entirety because, well, the internet has become such a large echo chamber of insanity. It's made it very hard to feel like no matter what I say, my view will sound like I either hate or love video games, especially this one. So I'm just gonna go with the gut feeling and say that I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want, and people can take it or leave it any way they see it. At the very least, I know that it was me and my opinion. I know that seems redundant, but you'd be surprised how many people just think that I'm kissing ass or trying to get in the good faith of some people. So yeah, here's me and what I think. Yooka Laylee stars a chameleon named Yooka and a bat named Laylee. A big appeal of the game, obviously, is that this buddy duo is a one-to-one match for the duo of Banjo-Kazooie. Hell, even their logos look the exact same. This game is a direct successor to that of Banjo-Kazooie, and that's exactly why I spent my money on this game. Anyways, Yooka and Laylee were lounging around, enjoying an awesome day, when all of a sudden, Laylee's newfound golden book gets sucked up into a whirlwind with several other books in the sky. And as it's soaring into the sky, golden pages of the book, known as pages, become scattered all over the land. It turns out that Capital B, local B villain and manager of Ivory Towers, is absorbing all of the books of their pages in conjunction with filling up the grand tome that Laylee had in her possession, hoping to have all of the pages to then rewrite all of history any way he sees fit. With the help of his assistant, Dr. Quack, these two jerks are aiming to take over the world on behalf of the master corporation they work for. So, Yooka Laylee must work together to not only get the Grand Tome back with their pages intact, but to also restore the 5 other magical tomes that all contain magical worlds within inside of them. Is the story super compelling? No, it doesn't need to be. It's not trying to be. It's not even as serious as the other titles from Rare, because the goal, at least to my understanding, was to not only make a game for Rare fans, but to make a game for a new generation of young gamers. If you look at the landscape for new games for young kids, you've got Mario, Ratchet and Clank, some Lego games, Minecraft, and Call of Duty, unfortunately, Warfare. Yooka Laylee marks not only the return of 3D platformers, but the return of mascot gaming. And yet the writing is the perfect example of showing how this game is also for adults. Like previous Rare games, throughout your journey of traveling through the hub world, in this case Ivory Towers, Capital B will chime in, telling you horrible jokes or warning you of where to go next and how it's going to strike you down for doing so. So far, I really think that the building blocks for Yooka Laylee are true to its roots while paving the way meticulously for newcomers, and they do this very well. At this time in the video, I'm going to let you guys call me nostalgia blinded because the minute I turned this game on, I started tearing up. Hearing the main theme immediately reminded me of my young self playing Banjo-Kazooie for the first time. It was as if I went into the past and met young me, and together we pressed start at the same time. The music, the opening sequence, the way the characters talk, the feel of the opening area, exactly like Banjo-Kazooie in my eyes. Very much new, yet very, very familiar. Grant Kirkhope is back at it again. The motifs of a Yooka Laylee matches that of the banjo in Banjo. Details of music changing when swimming underwater or coming back up for air. Every level is matched with the great soundtrack that's appropriate for it. And if you're a fan of David Wise, then you have to play any of the Kartos minigames because, man, it literally just screams Donkey Kong Country, and I love those games. You guys know that. One of the most memorable things about Banjo-Kazooie had to have been the voice acting with text, a distinct and notable thing that a lot of people found and still to this day find very annoying. In fact, 5 years ago, I said those exact same words, but now I love them. I'm obsessed with them. It feels like I can hear what everyone is actually saying, even though it's just grunts and noises. You know, I wouldn't mind that happening around the office that much. It would make day-to-day stuff go by much more smoother.
We're like family, everybody.
We're like
Me.
family, everybody? That's what you had to say?
You, me, Brett. All one family.
You gotta read the script sometimes, dude. Read the script. I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse here, but the most fascinating thing about Yooka Laylee starting out is how Playtonic wasn't messing around about how they wanted to remind people about their roots with Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. Right out the gate, even the game save selection options is similar to that of Banjo. I know it sounds like at this point that I'm glowing so far, and truthfully it's because I was glowing from start to finish. However, that's because this game was made for fans, and not for the modern day of the current gaming landscape. This is truly a revival of Rare and 3D platformers, exactly as they said. Are there issues? Absolutely there are. For the purpose of this video, I want it to be clear that I played the PC version of the game. I know a lot of you guys consider me a console gamer mostly, but I wanted to have this video done in time. And that would have meant that I would have had to have waited on Microsoft or Sony for their stores to accept their beta codes for the reviews. Whereas with Steam, I redeemed it instantly and logged right in. And based on the internet's initial impressions of the game, I think I made an excellent choice, because as far as graphics, camera, and gameplay goes, I had an almost near perfect experience. No glitches, no crashes, no extended or crazy loading times, nothing. All with 1080p 60 FPS locked gameplay. Now, Playtonic made the game on PC natively, but Team 17 was the one who took care of the ports for the PS4, Xbox One, and I'm assuming the Switch eventually. The most weird experience I had was because of the different skills I got and how I was able to get around. I forcibly made myself glitch through some of the areas, but this happened once or twice tops. Mostly because a lot of the areas in this game are really big. They seem like they're missing some assets, or they're just really large with purpose. You'll kind of find yourself veering off going, wow, this is massive, what's over here? Oh, I just died. Well, at least that was cool. Now with me making this video and playing the game, I admit, I've read other people's reviews from various websites, and it kind of made me feel sick to my stomach. Maybe because I'm just too in deep with my love and passion for the game so far, let alone other platformers that came before it. But the biggest complaints I found were ones that were almost instantly fixed before the game became publicly available. Apparently, the Xbox One version of the game reported abysmal frame rate dropping and horrible camera control, both of which in my experience have almost been completely patched out. And I do want to address my opinion on some of these issues. 3 specifically. 1. Now, I know I'm going to get crucified for this because I haven't even spoken on this game yet, but Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that came out a month ago, right? Everyone across the board said that there were a ton of frame rate issues, but it did not hinder their experience at all, and they still gave the game 9s and 10s across the board. Yooka Laylee comes along and it has these same frame rate issues around certain textures, and sometimes were worse than others. And yet immediately these critics went ahead and docked it in points. I know it's an extreme example and a lot of people are going to criticize me on this, but I don't think that's fair. Especially since these issues were taken care of before launch. Retrospectively speaking, I really think Playtonic should have tested the game more thoroughly before giving out review codes. But then again, I understand that they have things to take care of on their end. But that's kind of the Kickstarter curse. And hopefully next time around, there is next time around. And they did in fact have these patches before the game came out. And most of the internet places will not update their scores to reflect the issues with that. That to me is bad form. The damage has been done. Those review scores are going to reflect deeply for the future of this company and their next game. My second issue is with that of the camera control. The issue with the camera control scenario to me is that with 3D platformers, you either have problems controlling the camera or you don't. In games like Super Mario Sunshine, Galaxy, previous Banjo games, DK64, Sly Cooper, and even the Ratchet & Clank series, the camera hasn't been a problem for me personally. And yet I kept reading all over the place that people couldn't stomach it or control it properly, and that it really diminished their overall experience. And with a game that's trying to bring you back to the N64 era, yeah, it might have those same problems. I can acknowledge that people will have those genuine issues, and I am definitely not faulting them for having it. But for me personally, the camera only gave me problems 1 or 2 times. And it was because I just got a new skill and I didn't know how to use it properly. Control of the camera felt completely in my grasp the entire time. I honestly feel like I was playing a different game than most people. And my third point is the level designs. Everyone's been claiming that the worlds are big and beautiful, but there's nothing to do in them. Or that maybe the atmospheres are lacking or dull. To which I say to that, there's 25 pages to collect, 200 quills to pick up, 5 ghosts to find, and several missions and quests to do. With regards to the level designs being a little uninspired, I severely disagree. But then we get to my overall arcing point. As much as I am a reviewer and you guys are watching me for my opinions, remind yourselves to make the distinct decision on your behalf, not because someone said this game was a 3 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. Personally, this game kicks all kinds of ass that I wanted to thus far. However, the big deciding factor for me is going to be the gameplay and how everything handles. But up to this point, in regards to everything else, the game succeeds with flying colors. Now, I'm not going to spoil the plot of the game by any means, but I will be showing a lot of the locales. I won't be showing the endgame content too much, but I just want to give you guys a little heads up. Now, in order to have a good platformer, for me at least, you have to have great controls, smooth camera functions, and a character or characters that will constantly end up growing by that of their moves, power-ups, or special abilities. And if you're me, collectibles. Lots and lots of collectibles. Yooka Laylee almost hits all of these things very, very nicely. The basics of Yooka Laylee has you jumping around a massive 3D hub world, the Hivory Towers. Once inside the Hivory Towers, you'll have to find the 5 magical tomes in which you can then place some pages inside to then activate them. Personally, comparing the towers to that of Gruntilda's lair, I found Hivory Towers to be way more complex. I've seen a lot of comments about how Gruntilda's atmosphere is really scary or dreary, whereas the Hivory Towers lack that same sense, or it seems uninspired or dull. While I can see where they're coming from, you have to remember that these ex-Rare staffers came from the clutches of Microsoft tearing their once beloved company into pieces. What does that mean? I mean, reading between the lines here, I think it's pretty obvious. Capital B and his corporate hive mind represent that of Microsoft, which makes this entire game a scary freaking allegory. Hivory Towers essentially is a corporate factory hellbent on ruining the world, and that, especially in today's day and age, is way scarier than any rhyming witch's castle I'll ever go to. And as a labyrinth filled with pages, quills, and collectibles, it's large, confusing at times, but it always feels like there's something new to find, which is very exciting. Starting out, all you can really do is jump and attack, but real quickly, you'll meet Trouser the Snake, who will teach you all of the moves you learned in the game. These various moves range from being able to eat plants and shooting projectiles, to rolling around at the speed of sound, flying, ground pounding, hell, you can even turn invisible. But these moves are not for free though. The currency that Trouser needs are called quills, and they're everywhere. So collect as many as you can to learn new moves. I wouldn't worry too much though. There are more quills in the game than required of that within itself. It is important to note, however, that finding all 200 quills in a stage will get you a pagey. Upon activating a stage, you can then jump right into the beautiful, immersive world that it is. These worlds range from archaic tiki atmospheres, to your obvious snow castle, to a spooky marsh, to the corrupted casino designed to take your cash, and even a galaxy filled with space pirates. Unfortunately, and this is my biggest problem with the game, is that the locales, while I really enjoy them and I really think they're beautiful and artistic, need more variation. Translation, we need more levels here. I think we genuinely needed at least 2 to 4 more levels overall, but the 5 that we do have provide a lot of hours of gameplay. My favorite stage actually is the casino level, which is the most panned one according to many people out there. It changes up the pacing of the worlds, adding its own set of collectibles and mechanics that I really appreciated, especially once the world gets expanded. I'll get to that in just a bit. Once you enter a stage, you can immediately tell the size of the scope of the worlds themselves. They are huge and filled to the brim with side quests so that you can help the folks of that world. I find that all of these characters are very memorable and fun. Some of them have better character design and voices than that of the predecessor games of Banjo. But I think there isn't enough character variance either. But yo, my boy Shovel Knight's up in this game and he appears throughout it quite a bit, so I am totally a-okay with that. Getting all of the pages are a ton of fun. You'll get into the habit of wanting to collect them all, not because it's your task or that you're a completionist, but because each task is super unique and different. Almost every pagey feels as if you're being challenged to do something different than before. Similarly to that of the Jinjos from Banjo-Kazooie, with Yooka Laylee, you'll have to collect the 5 Ghost Riders on each stage. This time around though, you'll have to actually do something to acquire some of these ghosts. These Ghost Riders are no joke, they're pretty gross in fact. Collectibles in platformers are a key component, but when it comes to 3D platformers, it's life. On top of trying to find all of the pages, quills, and the 5 ghosts, you can also find 1 diamond butterfly to extend your life, and an electric battery type thing to expand your energy meter. Trouser the Snake is on every single stage. Finding him will give you 1 to 2 skills that will dramatically change the dynamic duo's capabilities, to the point where there'll be pages in other stages you couldn't get before, but now you can go back and pick them up. So I've read around the block that people really think the gameplay of Yooka Laylee is outdated because of where it came from. But you have to remember about Playtonics and how they attempted to make this game more modernized for an archaic genre. This may seem simple and dumb, but within the old eras of 3D platforming, most games require some type of ammo for various weapons or moves, or lives for that matter. Yooka Laylee replaced these ammo necessities with an energy bar that comes back over time. And by collecting those energy batteries, you can even make them bigger. And if you're running out of energy, you can also grab butterflies, as if you touch them physically, they'll replenish your energy. However, if you eat them with your tongue, they'll replenish your health. You may notice starting out at first that each world looks a little bit smaller than intended. That's because you have to find a certain number of pages in each world in order to expand it. And in this case, expanding the world sometimes doubles, if not triples the size of it. I don't really see what the fuss is all about when people say that the worlds are empty or uninspired when there's so much going on here. I wish there was more to do, yes, but these worlds are massive. One of my absolute favorite characters in the game is Retro64us, the retro dino that's all about playing old retro arcade games. He is in every stage and requires a retro coin, and if you give it to him, in return, he will allow you to play one of his many arcade games. Beating these games will grant you 1 pagey, and beating them a second time for the score attack will give you 1 more. Now this right here is probably one of my least favorite aspects of the game. Not the idea of beating it twice, but the minigames themselves unfortunately get really old super quick. They're also not very hard at all. You'll master them very quickly. But then again, the ones from DK64 were quite beasts, so I'll take these ones over those any day. It's kind of weird. I love Rextro the character, but I hate his minigames. Kind of funny how that works out, huh? A big part of Banjo-Kazooie was Mumbo and his amazing ability to turn you into a random animal. Within Yooka Laylee, we've got Dr. Puzz and her DN Ray. In order to activate all of these DN Rays, you'll have to find the Molecule. These little blue atoms, while not hard to find, are hidden very cleverly or require a task or pagey cleared in order to collect them. These transformations are fun and lighthearted, but 1 or 2 of them only seem to be used like once on the stage, maybe twice if you're lucky, whereas in the casino level, you turn into a helicopter and drop missiles everywhere while helping people. That's cool. If you're wandering around and you notice this gigantic Rosie the Riveter looking vending machine, that's Venti the vending machine. and she'll give you tonics that kind of act like hacks or boosts that give you all kinds of benefits. Certain moves can be reduced for their energy consumption, moves can get damage buffs or extra ammo and time of usage for temporary skills. The most useful tonic is designed for us completionists, the Hunter tonic. This one will cue a little whistle to tell you that a collectible, be it a diamond butterfly, battery, retro coin, or quill, is nearby. Overall, these tonics are super useful, and at the same time, they also don't feel like they break the game. Tonics require certain tasks to be completed in order to be unlocked, and they're not a consumable, they're an equipable, which can be changed at any time that you see Vendy. Combat in Yooka Laylee isn't really that in-depth, but it doesn't need to be. Some enemies, like the bees for instance, are major nuisances and I hate them all! So using your skills to take them out is preferred, but everyone else for the most part can be bodied by your basic attacks or sonar rays. Boss fights are super engaging and require a lot of listening and reacting. Yet the one I hated the most was the rock tab with teeth in the first world. This fight right here is a real good example of all of the camera complaints put into one section. But other than this one fight, I found the camera and the controls to be perfect and tight. The ultimate secret of Yooka Laylee is something that I haven't seen much talk of yet, but then again, the game just came out, so what do I know? It's something that's super hard to find, and yet it's one of my favorite things that I did find. The pirate treasures. There are 5 crystal secret skulls hidden in every stage, and they're no joke. Finding these without a guide put some hair on my chest, and I found it to be a wonderful experience. Nowadays, people use guides for almost the entire experience. But for me, by getting this game early, let alone a game I'm very interested in, it was fun to scrub every ounce of the floor for every possibility. In the end, however, I couldn't find them all without a little help from another YouTuber known as Ouija the God. Which, by the way, show him some support when you get a chance, tell him I said thank you, and check out his channel. Now, why did I ask someone for help? Because that, to me, is in fact an authentic experience of playing a game. It's one thing to read a guide or like a magazine that would spoil or reveal an Easter egg, but it's another to ask a friend or a person for tips and tricks. That's how I did it when I was a kid, and in the long run, I ended up being that kid that knew every secret in every game. It's a weird concept today, I know, but it didn't hinder my experience in the slightest. As I wrap things up here, looking at all of this, I honestly feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. I really feel like Playtonic set out a goal to create something that they loved, that was built in the passion and the spirit of Banjo-Kazooie, and I feel that they executed that promise well, whereas other people disagreed. And the issues that I had didn't really stop me at all from having fun. I really hope the game does well. I want to see Yooka Laylee. Or Yooka 3Lee. I wish I could say I made those up. Thank you, Gilly the Kid. I appreciate it. Your check is in the mail. Being a pretty decently sized collectathon, Yooka Laylee has hours and hours of content to keep you engaged. The minigames and quests, while not difficult, will take you on quite a journey. Things like Kartos' Kart Rides or Dr. Quack's quiz games still keep the nostalgia at an all-time high for Donkey Kong Country and Banjo enthusiasts. But enough about that, let's talk about our sweet, sweet reward. Now, you only need to collect about 75% of the quills and pages in the game to unlock the final fight with capital B, which for the record is much easier than any Gruntilda fight, which I'm totally okay with. But if you decide to collect them all, you'll get access to more tonics. Beating the game will get you a tonic called Butter 3, which reduces your health to 3 butterflies, essentially hard mode. More specifically, if you collect all of the pages in the game, you'll get the Pants tonic, which will give Yooka a pair of pants, an obvious reference to Banjo-Kazooie. If you collect all of the secret pirate treasures in the game, you'll get a tonic called Athlete, which will increase your power meter nicely. Essentially, completing the game means you'll have access to every tonic except one, the 64-bit tonic. As of this video, it is believed that the tonic is going to be DLC and is supposed to change the entire landscape into 64-bit graphics. I am so pumped to play that. Now, there is a multiplayer aspect to the game, but honestly, I didn't really deep dive into them. There are variants and different takes on some of the mini games and retro arcade games that happen in the game. Fun for kids, worth checking out, but not really my style. The nice thing about the achievements and trophies in Yooka Laylee is that they have purpose and are a part of your completionist journey. Essentially, completing the game will unlock all the trophies no matter what, making the stress of achievement hunting more of what you make of it. The downside of Yooka is that there isn't really a true calling as a completionist. The tonics are great, but if you made something a little more special, that would make the game that much better. Maybe that's what we get for the 64-bit update? If that's the case, hot damn, what a worthy completionist bonus. In my playthrough of Yooka Laylee, there were 24 hours of total playtime within one playthrough, 145 pages earned, 1,010 quills picked up, 25 Ghost Riders battled, 6 Diamond Butterflies, and 6, still don't know what they are, electric battery things collected, 15 moves argued out of Trouser the Snake, 15 tonics currently available with 1 waiting in the wings for future DLC, 35 achievements unlocked, and 1 Yooka Laylee rap made by Grant Kirkhope. Thank you so much, Grant. I am so glad this is a thing. This became a thing because of the Kickstarter hitting their stretch goal, so that's super exciting. Fun story, the first time I met Grant Kirkhope, I told him that I would kickstart a concert tour for him to perform only the DK rap. So, how do I end a video like this, when I know that everyone out there is going to severely disagree with me? I've probably brought on a lot more anger or frustration for many people, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't give a crap. Yooka Laylee is an incredible game with so few flaws that apparently everyone's upset about. The game is exactly what they promised and more. The soundtrack is absolute perfection, the aesthetic of the game is awesome, and the controls and gameplay are tight across the board. Camera issues are there, yes, but no game is perfect. If I had to show someone what type of games I absolutely love to represent every aspect and passion and being of my gaming, I would show them Super Mario Galaxy, Banjo-Kazooie, and Yooka Laylee without hesitation. Like I said, you have to make the distinction for yourself. As for me, this game is absolute nostalgic perfection. Now, I want to emphasize that while many of you who are fans of the show and look to me for my opinions, I'm not a true journalist. I'm just a guy that loves video games, truly. That's what the show is about for me, my love for video games. Maybe that makes me unprofessional, maybe it makes my opinion mean nothing to most of you, I don't really know. But whatever you think of me and this show and what I do here, I'm sticking my flag right here where I stand. I loved every ounce of this game, and fans of 3D platformers, especially those who are fans of Banjo-Kazooie, will walk away enjoying this game. I hope everyone will give this game a fair shot because it does deserve it. A lot of love and care went into this game, and at the very least, Playtonics, if you're watching this video, you did a phenomenal job, and you all should be very proud with how far you've come. With that in mind, guys, I give this game my completionist rating of complete it.
Complete it!
That's all the time we have for today, guys, so please, as always, let me know about today's episode somewhere on the internet. If you liked what you saw, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. It lets me know that you liked the episode, and I really appreciate it. If you're new here, click or tap that subscribe button and turn the bell notification on to make sure you don't miss out on any future episodes I upload every single Friday. And if you missed last week's video on God of War, click or tap that right here. That's it, that's all, guys. I'll see you next week, and thank you for watching. Bye.